Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to today's history lesson in the Irish ancient history. As you know, this is Irish History Month, so we're doing a whole month instead of the ancient Irish tales. We are doing a little bit about Irish history, and today is no different. We are learning about the Uilleann pipes, which is also known as the Irish bagpipes. So sit back, smash that subscribe button, and join me as we look into the history of the Uilleann pipes. Let's get into it. The Uilleann pipes are the characteristic national bagpipe of Ireland. Either known as Union pipes, their current name is a partial translation of the Irish language terms Fobia Uilleann, literally pipes of the elbow, from their method of inflation. There is no historical record of the name or use of the term Uilleann pipes before about the 20th century. It was an invention of Gurtin Flood, and the name stuck. People mistook the term union to refer to the 1800s Act of Union. This is incorrect, as Brendan Burgess points out that a poem published in 1796 uses the term union. The bag of the Uilleann pipes is inflated by means of a small set of bellows strapped around the waist and the right arm. In the case of a right-handed player, in the case of a left-handed player, the location and orientation of all the components is reversed. The bellows not only relieve the player from the effort of needing to blow into the bag to maintain pressure, they also allow relatively dry air to power the reeds, reducing the adverse effects of moisture on turning the longevity. Some pipers can convince or sing while playing. The bag, which usually is bellows filled and clamped over the other elbow, which squeezes the bag to control the flow of air to the reeds, which makes notes. The air goes from the bag to the chanter, drones, and regulators. The chanter is played with the fingers like a flute. The chanter has a range of 2 full octaves, including sharps and flats, because unlike most bagpipe chanters, it can be overblown to produce the higher octave. The chanter is often played resting on the piper's thigh, close to the bottom of the hole, so that the air can only escape through the open tone holes. If one tone hole is closed before the next one is opened, a staccato effect can be created because the sound stops completely with no air can escape at all. The 3 tones are simply open pipes. They constantly play 3 notes spread an octave apart. The 3 regulators are closed pipes. Untouched, they do not sound, but they have keys that can be opened by the piper's wrist action, or hand if they take one hand off the chanter. Each regulator key sounds a different note when opened. The regular keys are aligned so that several may be pressed simultaneously. These enable the piper to play simple chords, giving a rhythmic and harmonic accompaniment as needed. There are also many ornaments based on multiple or single grace notes. The tone of the Uilleann pipes is unlike many other forms of bagpipes. They have a different harmonic structure, sound sweeter and quieter than many other bagpipes, such as the Great Irish War pipes, Great Highland bagpipes, and the Italian zamponos. The Uilleann pipes are often played indoors and are almost always played sitting down. This is the sound of an Uilleann pipe. The etymology of the Uilleann pipes. Let's take a look at at the word, how it came to be in the etymology of it. The Uilleann is the genitive of the Irish word uilleann, meaning elbow, emphasizing its use of the elbow when playing the Uilleann pipes. The Irish word for Uilleann pipes is Hubar Uilleann, which means pipes of the elbow. However, the first attested written form of the Union pipes at the end of the 18th century, perhaps to denote the union of the chanter, drones, and regulators. Another theory is that it was played throughout a prototypical full union of England, Wales, Ireland, and Scotland. This definitely is untrue, because this name for the instrument predates the Act of Union, which took effect in 1801. Alternatively, the Uilleann pipes were certainly a favorite of the upper class in Scotland, Ireland, and northeast of England, where were fashionable for a time in formal social settings where the term union pipes may also originate. The term Uilleann pipes was first attested at the beginning of the 20th century. William Henry Grattan Flood, an Irish music scholar, proposed the theory that the name Uilleann came from the Irish word elbow. He cited to this effect William Shakespeare's play, The Merchant of Venice, published in about 1600, Act 4, Section 1, lines 55, where the expression woolen pipes appeared. The theory originated in correspondence between two earlier agrarians and adopted as gospel by the Gaelic language. The use of Uilleann was perhaps also a rebellion against the term union, which it connotates the English rule. It was, however, shown by Brenin Brunter that it would be difficult to explain the Anglicanization of the word Uilleann into woolen before the 16th century, when the instrument did not exist as such, and then its adaptation as union 2 centuries later. Now, let's look at the history. The first bagpipes to be well attested for Ireland were similar, if not identical, to the Scottish Highland bagpipes that are now played in Scotland. These are known as the Great Irish War Pipes. In Irish and Scots Gaelic, the instrument is called Pobre Muir, or Great Pipe. While the mouth-blown war pipe was alive and well upon the battlefields of France and parts of Europe, it almost disappeared in Ireland. The Union or Uilleann pipe emerged during the early 18th century, around the same time as the development of the bellows-driven Northumbrian small pipes and the bellows-driven Scottish lowland bagpipes. All three instruments were far quieter and sweeter in tone than their mouth-blown predecessors. Essentially, their design required the joining of a bellows under the right arm, which pumped air via a tube to a leather bag under the left arm, which in turn supplied air at a constant pressure to the canter and the drones and the regulators in the case of the Irish Uilleann pipe. The Groen's tutor of 1740s calls the early form of the Uilleann pipes the pastoral or new bagpipe. The pastoral pipes were bellows blown and played in either seated or standing position. The conical board canter was played open. It is legato, unlike the Uilleann pipes, which is also played close, that is, staccato. Early pastoral pipes had two drones, and later example had one or rarely two regulators. The pastoral had a flat set of union pipes developed with ideals on the instrument being traded back and forth between Ireland, Scotland, and England. Around the 18th and early 19th century, the earliest surviving sets of Uilleann pipes date from the second half of the 18th century. But it must be said that datings are not definitive. Only recently has, scientific attention begun to be paid to the instrument. and while problems relating to the various stages of development have yet to be resolved, the utilitarian pipes or union pipes might have originated from the pastoral pipes, broad pipes of Northern pipes and Scottish small pipes, and gained popularity in Ireland within the pastoral Anglo-Irish community, and its gentlemen pipers could afford such expensive handmade instruments. The Irish Uilleann pipes are far more elaborate in their design, and development is likely to have occurred among the well-to-do. Certainly many of the early players in Ireland were Protestant, possibly best known being mid-18th century Piper Jackson of County Limerick in the 18th century, tandem blind, and pipe maker William Kennedy. The famous Rowsome family from Corporation Wexford were also the Church of Ireland until the mid-19th century. The utilitarian pipes were often used by the Protestant clergy, who empowered them as an alternative to the church organ. As late as the 19th century, the instrument was still commonly associated with the Anglo-Irish. For example, the Anglican clergyman Canon James Goodman, 1828 to 1896, from Kerry, had his tailor-made union pipes buried with him at Carrach, the Church of Ireland cemetery near Balmoral, County Cork. His friend at Trinity College colleagues John Hinston from Skisbrin also played the Uilleann pipes. Another piping friend in the Canon Goodman, Edmund Pollock of Cork, founder of the Pipers Club in Cork, 1890s, had Goodman's pipes recovered from Carrick Seminary. They were later donated to Cork piper Michael O'Ryan, who had re-established the by then extinct Pipers Club in Cork. Now, the tuning. The instrument is most usually nowadays tuned to the key of D. If you know anything about music, the key of D is well used in fiddle and violin music as it's the easiest for them to play. A tradition begun by Taylor Brothers, originally in Dogra, Ireland, later on Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in the late 19th century. Canon Goodman played a Taylor set up till then. Most pipes were what you be termed as less flat sets. In other keys, such as C sharp, C, B, and B flat tunings, were largely incompatible with playing with the other instruments. The chanter length determines the overall tuning. Accompanying pieces of the instrument, such as drones and regulators, are tuned to the same key as the chanter. Chanters around 362 millimeters, 14.5 inches in length, produce a bottom note on or near D. In other words, the D above, just above middle C, where a fourth equals 440 hertz, a modern concert pitch. Such pipes are a relatively recent invention, pioneered by the Taylor brothers. They typically have wider bores and larger tone holes, and either flat pitch sets, as a consequence, are a good deal louder, though by no means as loud as the Highland pipes of Scotland. They were developed by tailors to meet the requirements of playing in large venues in the United States. Today, their most common type of Uilleann pipes encountered, though many players still prefer the mellower sound of the early style narrow bore pipes, which exist in pitches ranging D through C sharp, C and B down to B flat. Pipe makers before tailors had, however, built concert pitch pipes using narrow bores and smaller finger holes of the flat pipes. Some of these instruments seem to have been designed with lower pitch standards, such as a fourth equaling 414 hertz. The tailors also build instruments with higher pitch standards in the mid, such as the old philharmonic pitch of a fourth 453 hertz that was commonplace in the late 19th century America. The D pipes, however, are the most commonly used in ensembles, while the flat pitch pipes are more often used for solo playing. Often a fiddler will tune down his or her instrument to play with the piper's flat set. With the inflexibility of the other instruments used in Irish music, accordions, flutes, etc., do not permit this. It is noteworthy that Irish music was predominantly solo music. until about the 19th century, when these fixed-pitched instruments began to play more of a role, like some older pipe organs. Uilleann pipes are not normally tuned or even temperament, but rather just in notation so that the chanter regulators can blend sweetly with the other drones. Equal temperament is almost universal with the fixed-pitched instruments used in Irish music, which can clash with the tuning of the pipes. Now, a full set of Uilleann pipes includes a chanter, drones, and regulators. A half set lacks regulators, and a practice set lacks both regulators and drones. All three are used in professional performance. Now, the practice set. Because of the instrument's complexity, beginning Uilleann pipes started with the partial sets known as practice sets. A practice set consists of only basic elements of the pipe bag, bellows, and chanter, with no drones or regulators. The chanter is available in keys ranging from concert pitch, D chanter, and half note steps downwards to B flat, the later being regularly referred to as flat set, as any sets below the key of D. To play the Uilleann pipe effectively, students must learn to pump the bellows steadily while controlling the pressure of the bag and playing the chanter simultaneously. So beginners often play a practice set until they become comfortable with the basic mechanics. Despite their name, however, practice sets are used not only by beginning players, but also some of the advanced players who wish to play just the chanter with other musicians, either live or in recording sessions. In these sessions, the practice sets can be tuned equal temperament if needed. Now, the half sets. The half sets is the next stage up from the practice set, which is used as form as bagpipes. Uilleann pipes use drones, which are most commonly three-piece pipes accompanying melody of the chanter, which a constant background tonic note. The pipes are generally equipped with three drones. A tenor drone is the highest sounding pipe, which is pitched the same as the lowest note on the chanter. The baritone drone, which is pitched 1 octave below, and the bass drone, which is the lowest sounding pipe 2 octaves below the bottom note of the chanter. The pastoral pipes had 4 drones. These 3 plus 1 more that would play harmony note at the 4th or, 5th interval. These drones are connected to the pipe bag by a stalk. This is intricately made of wooden cylinder tied in the bag as any other stalk by a thick yarn or hemp thread. The drones connect into the stalk, as do the regulators. So the full set below. Well, you'll see that in the video. The stalk and drones laid across the right thigh. This is distinct from any other forms of bagpipes in which the drones are usually carried over the shoulder or over the right arm. The drones can be switched off. This is made possible by a key connecting in the stalk. The original design of the stalk was a hollow cylinder made with 2 metal tubes running through it. Both hold the regulators independently, supplying air to them. Thus, the regulators could be played with the drones silenced. In about the 19th century, it became more common to build stock from a solid piece of wood, with 5 holes bored through it end to end. This was less susceptible to damage, and earlier design, the pipe was also be able to switch on and off various drones, individually applying slightly more pressure to the bag and taping the end of the drones, which generally used aid in tuning, a technique used in almost all bagpipes that have drones, or, all of them at the same time using this key. This makes the instruments more versatile and usable not only as a half set, but also allow playing of the chanter itself by the drones in a single-bladed reed, actually part of the cleaning sound like a double reed used in the chanter and regulators. These drone reeds were generally made of elderberry twigs in the past, or the cane being used in the late 19th century. A full set, as the name implies, is a complete set of Uilleann pipes. This would be a half set with the addition of 3 regulators. These are the 3 closed pipes similar to the chanter. Held in the stalk like drones, they are usually given the terms tenor, baritone, and bass from the smallest to the largest. The regulator used keys 5 on the tenor and 4 on the baritone, and bass accompany the melody of the chanter. These keys are arranged in rows to give them limited 2-note chords, or alternatively single notes for emphasis and phrases specific notes. The notes of the regulators from the highest to the lowest given normal pitch of D are as follows. C, B, A, G, F sharp. In the baritone is A, G, F sharp, and D. And the bass is C, B, A, G. The tenor and baritone regulators fit into the front stock place at the top of the drones. The bass regulator is attached to the side of the stock, the furthest from the pipe, and is of complex construction. Another method of using the regulators is to play where they refer to as hand chords, when the melody is usually in slower pieces of music such as an air. It is being played on the chanter exclusively with the left hand. The right hand will be free to create a more, complex chord using 3 regulators. At once, so desired, many airs end in a section on G or A in the first octave, at which point the piper will often play one of these hand chords for dramatic effect. The chanter is part of the Uilleann pipes and used to play the melody. It is 8 finger holes, example given of a D pitch chanter, bottom D, E flat, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, C sharp. High D, also called back D. To achieve the bottom D, the chanter is lifted off the knee, exposing the exit of the chanter's bore where the note is produced. The chanter is set of the right knee, thus closing off the bottom hole. Many players used to strip leather placed over the knee called a propping strap, which provides for all right seal. More rarely is example given in spring-operated flat valve attached to the bottom of the chanter archives the same end, generally for all of the notes except special effects to vary from volume and tone. The standard stays on the knee. One characteristic of a chanter is that it can produce staccato notes. Because if piper steals it off from the bottom with all finger holes closed, the chanter is silenced. This is also necessary for attaining the second octave. The chanter must be closed and the bag pressure increased, then the finger notes will sound in the second octave. A great range from different timbres can be achieved for varying finger notes and raised in the chanter with the knee gives Uilleann pipes a degree of dynamic range not found in other forms of bagpipers. Pipers who use staccato fingering often are termed closed-style pipers. Those who use legato fingering are more commonly referred to as open style. The open piping is associations with musicians, often Irish traveling people, who played on the street outdoors. Since the open finger is somewhat louder, especially with the chanter played off the knee, which can however lead to faulty pitch of the second octave notes.